Hey Scrubs, so I have some exciting news for you that you probably already knew about, but hell, it's exciting. Doomfist is finally here. So what do we know about Doomfist? He was from a well-known Nigerian family and a martial artist. After he lost his arm, he kind of lost his way a little bit, couldn't figure out how to fight until the second Doomfist, also known as the Scourge, that you'll see like posters of him in Nubani, actually took him under his wing and brought him into Talon and showed him other ways that he could create chaos with his fists. And unfortunately for his mentor, Doomfist decided to kill him and take over his mantle as Doomfist, therefore becoming sort of a leader of Talon. And of course, because this happens to all big bad guys, he was eventually thwarted by Tracer, Genji, and Winston, and ended up being imprisoned for some time, biding his time, by the way, until he could finally rise again. So how do we play Doomfist? Well, he has 6 main abilities that we should know about. His difficulty level on Overwatch is 3 stars, so he is going to be hard to play and he will not be noob friendly. So what are his 6 abilities? Hand Cannon, Seismic Slam, Rising Uppercut, Rocket Punch, the Best Defense, and his ultimate, Meteor Strike. So let's go over these abilities one by one. The Hand Cannon. It is his only true ranged defense, and it's not even that range, it is a medium tier shotgun. His hand cannon has a bar in the middle. It can only shoot 4 times, and it reloads kind of like Tracer, like over time. You can't reload it on your own. So you really have to make those 4 shots count. And I would say, of all of his abilities, this is more of a filler ability. In cases where you're not close enough to hurt a character, or you have all your other abilities down but you're far away, you can go ahead and shoot, and it will go into our next ability that I kind of want to talk about, which is your Best Defense. It's a passive ability that basically whatever damage that you do, you gain up a little bit of a defense, or a shield, so to speak. It's as they say, the best offense is a good defense. So the more offensive you're being, the better defense you're also going to have, because you are gaining that shield and you are not going to die. Something to note about Doomfist is he only has 250 health, so he's very squishy despite this fact. So the more shield you have, the more you can stay alive. The thing about Doomfist is it rewards risky gameplay. However, if you make a stupid move, you're going to die instantly. So there are a few things to remember that we will discuss later in this video when we're talking about strategy. So his third ability, the Seismic Slam. Dude, this thing is amazing. Basically, you target the ground and you slam forward, and what happens is the people around you, they take on damage from the slam, but also they come closer to you, so you can then charge at them, shoot them with your shotguns, whatever ability you have available. It's best paired with your Rising Uppercut, which we'll talk about next. Okay, so you're drawing in your enemies, so it's really best to use it with something like an uppercut or your charge, because it will do a ton of damage and it's a great finishing move to those other 2 abilities. It also, from what I've noticed, is if you do an uppercut and then do your Seismic Slam, it will push you forward in the map, so it gives you plenty of mobility. So my best advice to you with Seismic Slam is to take your time, learn the ability along with all the other ones, and see what kind of combos you can do with it, especially with the Rising Uppercut. Speaking of, we talked about Rising Uppercut. This ability basically launches you into the air with an enemy if they're nearby. Rising Uppercut is a mobility ability, as well as a damaging one. So you go really high up in the air, which can help you with escaping and getting away from an enemy, because again, remember, you're squishy, and also it takes enemies up with you, making it easier for your team to shoot them. And it does damage because you're uppercutting them in the face, so that's cool. But as we just talked about, it's the best ability because not only does it give you that mobility, but then you can use your 2 other abilities. So I would always pair these together. Jump up, get out of the fight for a moment, and then slam back down with your Seismic Slam, or rocket punch somebody. If you take them with you and then rocket punch them into something, how dope is that? It's amazing. Just work with it. They're really cool. So my favorite ability of Doomfist is his rocket punch. I have been saying this since Overwatch came out. I love melee. Melee is my favorite like gameplay ever. So what does it do? You charge it up and then you propel forward and you punch someone in the face. Bonus points, if you punch somebody and then they hit into a wall, they actually take extra damage, which is insanely awesome. This is not only Doomfist's main ability, it is his best ability besides his ultimate, obviously. If you're propelling yourself forward, it does have a cooldown, so it's great for mobility. If you use it too late, or you're using it constantly throughout the map, you're going to not have your main ability when you start to go into a fight, and that's not cool. So best bet, maybe use it once, maybe twice depending on the map to get forward, but then mostly just use your upper punch, or your uppercut, and then propel yourself in other ways. It's great for mobility, yes, but remember, you're going to want this in a fight. It is your main ability. And number 6, his Meteor Strike, the ultimate.
Meteor Strike is charging.
My ultimate's charging.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to play Doomfist at all yet, or if you've seen him in action yet, but I'm sure you have since it's been out. But his ultimate is so freaking cool. Up into the air, and then you can sort of like target within a circle where to go, and then leap back down and deal an excessive amount of damage. It is the perfect ability to completely ruin the enemy team's plans. If you have a bastion camping for whatever reason in an area with people like protecting him, like you know how some people on some maps like will have like a Reinhardt and a bastion or something, and they're just sitting there mowing you guys down. If you can flank around somehow with your mobility and then get in there and Meteor Strike, you basically just kill those two off, and now your team can come in and take the point or the payload. It's going to be a really interesting to see how people use this ultimate, because I haven't even thought of all of the ways to do it yet, but those are just some of the ones I've been thinking of. It's not like Diva's ult where it just does a massive amount of damage, like in a huge circle. It is a little bit contained. So always try to think of ways that you can trap people into being smashed by you. So if it's on a payload or a checkpoint, I mean, obviously, yeah, like try to get as many people in there as possible and slam down, kill them. Like I mentioned, doing Reinhardt or, you know, Bastion, who's not very mobile at all, like they can't get away necessarily as quickly. Those are the people like you can kind of target. Basically what I'm saying is you need to mess around with the Meteor Strike a little bit, but just like with any other ult, you'll know when to use it. In fact, I would even look at how Reaper does his ultimate, because he has to flank around and kind of be smart about how he does his ult as well, because if you think about it, you've all seen Reaper ult someone and just like completely ruin the enemy team. He'll jump down from somewhere and surprise attack you. And I believe that Doomfist is to be played the same way. He is a flanker. He is not someone who just runs into the fight like a tank, because again, he only has 250 health. So you gotta kind of be smart about how you play him. You're gonna want to run around, depending on the map. You're gonna have to learn the maps, guys, in order to be good. Like that, I can do walkthroughs of that another time. But you're gonna want to come out of nowhere, and also remember to build up that shield, because you're gonna need it. And then you're gonna want to slam that Meteor Strike down when they're not paying attention, so they could be grouped up and not know to get out of the way in time. And you can just go, bye-bye. Think about it that way. If you've seen Reaper ultimates, or if you're completely new to the game at all, just think of it this way. How can I best sneak up on the enemy team and pop my ult before they have a chance to even think about what's happening and move out of the way? Something I forgot to note was if you are playing on Xbox or PS4, you might want to rearrange your controls. Because I don't know why, but the default controls has it so like your shotgun, which is your left hand, is your right trigger, and then your rocket punch is your left trigger, and then in my head, I don't know how it will work for you guys, but I actually switched them so that I'm shooting with my left and then I'm rocket forward with my right, because to me, I'm looking at this hand but using my left, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So if you're using a console, which I know some of you PC users, I also use PC. I like to play with both depending on what friends I'm playing with. it's just something to note. That might be easier for you. I know that when I first started playing Doomfist last week, I got a little confused because I was like, oh yeah, this, but wait, that's the wrong hand. Oh gosh. So switch around your controls, it's really easy. So strategy, you are squishy, so don't run in like you're a tank. Doomfist needs a lot of babysitting, unfortunately, so you have to play him with a good team. You can't just run in somewhere and expect to get a bunch of kills because you just won't. You will die almost instantly. In fact, because I'm such an aggro bro player myself, I play a lot of Reinhardt, I would just run in the first few times that I played him and then immediately die. And I'm like, why? Like, I feel like I'm this big beastly dude with this big old beastly fist. You think you could just run in, and especially because you're doing damage, you think you're getting that shield. It doesn't do a whole lot because, as I mentioned before, you only have 250 health, so you're gonna go down, and you're gonna go down quick. So, as we stated, you have to be a flanker, you have to run around, you have to be smart with how you use your abilities, but most of all, you should probably stick with your team, especially a tank with a shield. You can go in with like Winston, because Winston is supposed to be sort of like an aggressor. He runs in, he dives in. That's the perfect time for you to also dive in. You see Winston go and pop that bubble, go ahead and like uppercut, jump into that bubble and start doing your damage. Like, that is the best scenario. Make sure you're always around a healer so that they can also heal you on top of everything. I truly believe that Doomfist was made to be a team player. You know, you can sometimes get away with other characters not having to necessarily stay with your team. Tracer's great for going and flanking behind and healing herself in a way. You don't have to worry so much about being around your team. You still should always be around your team, but you don't have to worry as much. With Doomfist, you do need to be babysit a little bit, so just keep that in mind when you're playing. Don't be an aggro bro like me. Kind of be smart with how you play. You're basically going to do a ton of damage, but you're going to die really quickly, so stay with the group, be in group fights. You're not an enabler necessarily, but you can sometimes change the tide with your Meteor Strike. Just work with your team and also work with what the other team has and try to think about, for instance, Symmetra. I played the other day and Symmetra just owned me as Doomfist. Like, there was nothing I could do. I tried to uppercut away and zoom away, but she would just follow me with her little gun, and I was just like, well, this is life. Well, this is also death now. Be wary of who you're playing against, and also remember, like, things like with your charge, it's really slow, so if you're playing against someone like a Tracer or Genji, it might be hard to fist them in the face. Kind of play around, figure out what works for you, figure out how your controls work for you. Do lots of combos. He is a combo character. Like all things, you have to play this character a lot, so just learning to dive, dodge, duck, getting out of dodge when you can, so to speak. Knowing that when it's a team fight and you don't have your tank around, to just go away, like just zip away for a moment, wait for the rest of your team, come back. Like, you do so much damage, but you also take so much damage. Alright scrubs, that's the end of our Doomfist walkthrough. He's a brand new character, so we're always going to be learning new tips and tricks about him as the weeks come. So if you have any cool ones, please leave them down in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to SLAYTRIX and our other channels, Hissyfit and Snarled. And remember, only through conflict do we evolve. At least that's what Doomfist has to say. So have a great night, kids, and the D out.